Ladies and gents, today we're going to give you news you can use if you choose not to abuse. Wow, I sound like a rapper. I just found out this second. I may have hit on something right now. What do you guys think? Anyway, today I'm going to pick on the Muslims. Right? Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't kick the Shiite out of them. Oh, you don't say stuff like that. Behave. It's okay, I'll behave, okay. So, can you imagine kicking the Shiite out of someone? Anyway. I'm bad, right? I'm really, I am bad. I have to. There must be a medication for this. I gotta stop this thing. It might go out of control. And I was younger. I was worse. I'm getting better. At least there's hope. A little bit. There's light outside the tunnel. Even though you think is small light, there is something. So the Muslims, right? Okay. I hear Muslims say, "Oh, you Orthodox, you have 3 gods, and God is only one. There's only one God. It's Allah, the most powerful, the majestic, I'm sure you heard that. Okay. And they expect some reaction from you. Wow. Actually, let me tell you, there's one Muslim that came and asked me, if I want to join Islam. I told him, what? Are you crazy? And my reaction saying, are you crazy? This is like, you're out of your mind. You must be, taking drugs or something like. And when he saw my reaction, he was like, wow, what does this guy think of Islam for him to be that confident and that rejectful of Islam? Say, wow, why? What do you think? I asked him, he asked me a couple of questions, and I told him, look, I could prove to you in a few seconds that your religion is based on lies. Just a few seconds. And he said, okay, I don't have time. So I told him, so your God is one God, right? He said, yeah. You have the Qur'an in your hand? He said, yeah. The Qur'an is supposed to be the only word of God, yeah? He said, yeah, it's the only God. This is the only word of God, the most not corrupted, nothing. I want to make sure. So wait till you finish this video, because you're gonna like this. And so you're sure this is the only word of God, uncorrupted? Yeah, he said. The Torah, the Bible, the New Testament, the Old Testament has been corrupted. And finally we have the Qur'an, the Holy Qur'an, and that descended directly from Allah, and it has never been corrupted. And okay, so now that we have established that, so only the Qur'an is the word of Allah. He said, yeah. So the hadith, they're not the word of Allah. He said, yeah. Now I have him cornered. Now he's into my territory. Okay. Now you are in my territory. Now I'm going to eat you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You are mine now. What do you mean? Right? That's what you're probably thinking. But for a person who likes to debate like myself, that's it. He's lost the debate right there, because the Quran is the only word of God. That's what he said, right? And this is the only uncorrupted book of God, right? He said, yeah. Okay, and there's only one God. He said, yeah. Okay, so in the Quran, let's open the Quran. The Quran says that Allah, right, the one God, most powerful one, right, he was blown, like, blown by angels into the vagina of Maryam. They call her Maryam. So Surah Maryam, right? That's what it says. Actually, I could be wrong, but there's in the Quran, one part of it, it says how the angels blew the spirit of Allah into the vagina of Maryam. That's interesting, right? Because it's one God. So imagine this one God, the only God, the most powerful, majestic word of Allah, right? Being blown, like pushed with the breath of angels into the womb of a woman which is tiny. We all had a woman in our life. We know how that particular place of her body, how tiny it is. So yet this Allah is blown into the vagina of Maryam, a virgin at that. And then Isa, the version of Jesus, is born. But the Quran never tells you that Allah came out. We know Allah went in, but the Quran never mentioned Allah coming out. All we know, Allah went in and Jesus came out from the vagina. That's recorded in the Quran. So my question is, there's only one Allah. Allah went in and he's trapped in this vagina. So there's no more Allah outside in the Maryam at this point. So we know, this is the only time we know where Allah was the entire human history. We know where Allah was. According to the Quran, he was in the womb of Maryam. That means during that 9-month period where Allah was in the vagina, in the womb of Maryam, Allah was absent elsewhere. That's a big problem. Because if you claim Allah was also outside Maryam, then there's more than one Maryam. There's more than one Allah. Then that means you have to accept the concept of Trinity. Otherwise, if you believe that God is in only one form and he entered the womb of Maryam, that one God is in Maryam's vagina. Now we know exactly, he's limited to that particular location. We know where his location is. Once we know where his location is, we also know that he's not anywhere else in the world. And then the rest of the world need Allah, remember? They're praying, some people are dying. In the 9 months period, Allah was absent. He was in the womb of Maryam. But not only that, Isa came out. Allah never came out. Remember, you guys are saying that Isa is not God. So now, Allah went in, and he's still in. He never came out. So he's still in the womb of Maryam. That's what's happening. I mean, we have to be consistent with what is written. What is written is Allah went in, Isa came out. So that means Isa does not have a human father. So if he doesn't have a human father, well, he's the child of God, right? Isn't it? Because you just admitted Allah went in and Isa came out. So Isa cannot be a creation because he was born. Because there's a difference between creation, being created, and being born. What's the difference? Well, if I was standing next to Adam without a shirt, without this shirt on, there would be a physical difference between me and Adam. I'm born, he's created. What's the difference, you might say? Adam, because he's created, he doesn't have umbert, he doesn't have a belly button, because he's created, he's not born. There's no way Adam has a belly button, because he's not born, he's created. Never thought of that. Yeah. Adam doesn't have a belly button. I have a belly button. You have a belly button. Why is that? Because your belly button proves you were born. So, Jesus Christos, he's born. He's not created. So he's not a creature of humanity, because the Qur'an itself admits that he's born out of Allah, entering Maryam. So either he's Allah himself, or he's the son of Allah. Either way, you're screwed, because in the Qur'an it says Allah created the world in 6 days and rested, and he doesn't say rested, he sat on his throne on the 7th day. So you do recognize Allah created the world in 6 days and stopped creating. So therefore there's no more creation being done by Allah. That's why it is written in the Quran that the world was created in 6 days, and on the 7th day Allah rested on his throne. So therefore Isa could not be a creation of Allah, because Allah went in, Isa came out. Yes, now you're screwed, because if there's only one God, like in one shape, one form, then Allah is in the womb of Maryam and he's absent in the rest of the world. And he's still absent because he's in the womb of Maryam. But yet, this Isa came out. And this Isa, as you know, a child is the seed of his father. And his father is Allah. That makes him God. The Son of God is God. I mean, when you think about it, an elephant gives birth to an elephant. A mouse gives birth to a mouse. A lion is going to give birth to a lion, not a crocodile or something like that. So God is going to be God. So the Son of God, it will be God. So now you have really something to think about, because your own book sets you in a road where you're not safe no more. In your argument, your own argument, your accusation on Orthodox. Here's another one. You claim that Abraham had 2 wives. And you say that these women were Hagar and Sarah. Technically speaking, Abraham had 3 women. You forgot that Keturah had, I believe, 6 children from Abraham. In fact, she's the one who has the most kids. But yet she's not mentioned in the Quran. That's interesting, isn't it? Here's a woman who has the most kids from Abraham, but somehow the Quran never mentions her. Right? But here's another deal. You saying that you have accepted the Quran because the Bible has been corrupted. That's why you have the Quran. Otherwise, there's no need for the Quran, really. Okay. So if it is so, how come the Quran never mentions Sarah and Agar by name? You open your Quran, you look for Sarah and Agar. They're not there. It says the women. That's it. So, I ask you, how do you know the name? Where did you get the name Sarah and Agar? Remember, the Bible is counterfeit. That's it. It's not credible no more. That's why you have the Quran. So without the Quran, without the Bible, you don't know Sarah and Agar. So you don't have, the Quran fails to recognize, to identify. You know, identification, how important it is. To identify someone, something is crucial. You know how important it is. And yet the Quran fails to identify the women by name. So Agar is never in the Quran. She's not even mentioned by name. And yet Muslims talk about Agar and Sarah as if, where did they get their name? From the Bible? But you can't go back to a book whom you told us is no longer reliable. And yet you have to go back to the Bible to identify, because your book failed to identify the women. That's very sad. That's sad. That means that your book, the Quran, is dependent of the Bible. Once you want to identify things, you go back to the Bible, because the Bible has more details than the Quran. That sucks. And remember, Allah, the most merciful, is still in the womb of Maryam, according to the Quran. The one God fits in the womb of a woman. He must be. How tiny must he be? Right? And he's still there. So he's absent in the rest of the world. Think about it for a second. Does that make sense? What I just said. Does that really make sense? Because when you read the Quran, that's what it says. And the Quran is the only word of Allah. So you cannot use the hadith to defend yourself. Alright? Because that's what it says. Leave the Muslim alone. Why are you attacking people?